Okay, so today we're going to be reviewing the Ibanez RG5320 Prestige RG guitar. Now, this is an unsponsored review. This is my guitar that I bought, but this is my favorite guitar, so I'm going to kind of be biased towards liking it. I'm going to try to be objective as best as I can, but I just really love this guitar. So I'm going to talk about looks, playability, some things that'll help you decide if this guitar is right for you, you know, some insights from an owner. I've owned it since 2020. And then I'm going to tell you if I think this guitar is worth it, how it stacks up to like Evertunes and stuff like that. And then we're gonna have a full mix demo. So I'm gonna show you how this guitar sounds in a mix. All right, let's go. All right, so first of all, we've gotta talk about the looks of this guitar. Just look at that. We've got this interesting kind of silver black like finish, and each and every one is unique. We've got the binding, we've got the natural sides and back. What a guitar. We've even got the matching headstock. It's a classy yet unique looking guitar. You know, it's got the pointy double cut so it looks metal, yet at the same time, it's got this interesting finish. It's got that RG shape, so it's got that single forearm cutaway. So it's not too complicated, it's pretty sophisticated, at least in my opinion. So I'm a fan. You can see there's this binding around the neck and also the body. And one thing to note, it is white binding, but it did age pretty quickly. So I don't know how well it's showing up with this light shining on it, but it did turn from white to kind of like an aged cream fairly quickly, like less than a year. So if you're looking just to keep it like pristine and white and like just immaculate, don't let it get into the sun whatsoever. And finally, in terms of looks, you've got the stock pickups with this light metal color, and then all the other hardware is like the Ibanez Cosmo kind of dark color. Although it is worth noting that the Ibanez Cosmo, you could kind of see right here, it wears away when you're doing like palm muting stuff and such. All right, now let's talk about the specs. Now, I'm not gonna tell you every single spec off of the spec sheet. You could look it up, and honestly, if you're looking for reviews on the guitar, you probably already know them. You know, you've got the mahogany body, you've got the ebony fretboard on the maple neck and all that. You've got the metal-oriented pickups, you've got the floating tremolo bridge. It's the Ibanez Low Pro. What I can tell you is that because it's a mahogany body, usually they run heavier. So this is heavier than like an ash or a basswood body. Basswood? But it's not my heaviest guitar that I have. So this is still plenty comfortable. It is kind of on the heavier side, so it's not featherweight. So keep that in mind, but it's not super, super heavy. So if you're worried about that, but you're kind of used to like a more, I guess, chunky alder guitar, then this is going to kind of feel like that. And on the subject of the body, it's that classic RG shape. So you can see the forearm cut here with the light reflected on it. It is that kind of solid, like blocky body, which I'm a fan of. Like it stays pretty nice and locked in when you're sitting with it. Of course, that also means on the back of the horn, there is no cutaway. So if you're doing the like ultra shred stuff, your hand can get caught like this on it, but that's only if you're like really going at it, like thumb behind the neck. That almost never happens for me, especially because I usually play it kind of like this. Back to the forearm though. So when you're playing sitting down, it feels pretty good, both in the standard and classical positions. When you're playing standing up, when you have it like at a normal length, this is like the perfect thing for your forearm. I have my guitar just like a little slightly lower than that, so I am kind of more on the edge, but it's still plenty fine. So if you go to the Ibanez website, it does show you like the general neck dimensions, but I find between the same price range of models, there can even still be neck profile variation. Like when I first got this guitar here and I played it, it did not feel like my other Prestige. And for like a minute or two, I thought, oh man, this isn't a winner. What have I done? But then a funny thing happened because the neck felt a bit chunkier than usual. I'd say this is between like the J Custom or old RG Prestige I have and the Pia I have, which has like a thicker neck. So an interesting thing happened. Like I picked it up, and I was thinking, okay, this neck feels a little different than I was expecting. Maybe I'll just like play it for a bit, then send it back. And so I played it for a bit, and then I looked at the clock and 3 hours had passed. So I was like, okay, something's going on here. So this neck, I don't know what it is. It's like slightly thicker than the average Prestige neck. So maybe I got lucky with this one. But on this neck, I just have to say that this is just the best playing guitar I have, even with instruments double the price. Like the pinch harmonics come out perfectly. When I have to play a difficult passage, it comes out perfectly. The tone is there. It's just, maybe it's that like 1 in a million guitar, but this one really works for me. Later on, I got other RG Prestiges in this price range, and even though their neck profile was a little different, like a bit thinner, maybe a bit rounder. It was also actually a pretty good fit too, like the hours just fall away. So there's something about these RG guitars at this price point. It's just the solid materials, the resonance, the playability, it's there. So then to cap off the neck discussion, I'd say this neck profile, it's kind of like a more modern neck profile. It is kind of like a thin D, like I prefer thin C shapes, but somehow this neck just works. And it works whether you're playing like thumb behind the neck or more thumb towards the top, like filling in the neck with your hand. And I don't know what those guys at Ibanez are doing with the designs of their neck, but these like modern necks they've come out with in the past few years just feel so good. Staying on the subject of playability and the neck also, let's talk about the fretboard and the fret. So this does have the stainless steel frets. I think stainless steel needs no introduction, you know, pretty smooth, very nice, very solid, lots of durability. And the Ebony as well. Everyone knows that Ebony plays by now. It feels very smooth, very nice. Make sure to keep it conditioned so it doesn't crack. I condition mine every 6 months or so with each string change. Maybe I should change strings sooner. But the crazy thing is I didn't really do too much of a setup on this guitar. I do my own setups, but for this guitar, I didn't have to like mess with the frets. All I had to do was just adjust the truss rod a bit, and then I had to lower the bridge a little bit, and then it was all set. And I've just played this guitar so much, like I haven't had to change the setup, but I have had to retighten the bolts on the neck, just because over time, as things vibrate, you know, screws and stuff comes loose. So yeah, this guitar is pretty comfortable to play sitting down, standing up. This jack right here, this is like the typical jack you have. There we go. And I like it a lot because since the plug sits down here, you can play it sitting standard style, you can play it in the classical style, you can play it standing up, and it's perfect. You know, just when you're standing up, just wrap the cable around the strap so it doesn't fall out. I prefer this over the angled jack on the more expensive Ibanez guitars. All right, now working our way down to the bridge. This is, you know, the low pro edge bridge. It's amazing. I have it blocked right now, but I used to not have it blocked, and the tremolo felt pretty solid. The arm felt pretty good. It stayed in tune pretty well. Over time though, because it has like that kind of nylon bushing to it, because it's like a push-in bar, the nylon bushing just wore down, so now the bar is kind of janky. And I usually block my tremolos anyway, so I was like, all right, let's just block the tremolo. It is pretty annoying to get a replacement bushing. Like you have to go on eBay or something like that, or if you try to order it from a dealer, they tell you they can only get you like the whole arm. They can't just get you the bushing for some reason. So if you do a lot of tremolo stuff, just keep that in mind, that it's going to be annoying to replace that. And then another miscellaneous thing is that these tuners, it doesn't have the locking tuners, which, like, I get it. It's the double locking tremolo. It has the locking nut. But when you're changing strings and stuff and the nut is unlocked and the strings are slipping as you're stretching out the strings, especially because it has the floating bridge, it's just that those locking tuners would just be the icing on the cake. For me anyway, like I really prefer them. So that's kind of a miss there. Like it wouldn't cost them too much more just to put those tuners on. All right, let's talk about the pickups now. Now, a lot of people online do not like the Fusion Edge pickups, but personally, I kind of really like them. I was planning on changing them with maybe some DiMarzios, maybe some bare knuckles, you know, but I use this guitar and just in a mix, it just sounds perfect. It sounds so good. The pickups have that perfect, like medium, almost medium high-ish, but like medium high-ish output. It's just perfect. It hits amps just right. It hits plugins just right. The frequency response on these are just right. It sounds good with high gain. It sounds good clean too. Even the split feature, it almost feels tacked on, but it is actually pretty usable. Like you can use it with pedals and stuff like that, and the sound is pretty good. Of course, this is like a shred metal guitar through and through. And so yeah, for the tones, you've got the three-way switch. You've got the little switch thingy for splitting right there. You've got a tone, a volume, pretty standard stuff. Okay, so would I recommend this guitar? I mean, you've probably figured it out by now, but yes, I would recommend this guitar. This is like the perfect price point, I feel like. Like, it's pretty expensive at the price point these guitars are, but for what you're paying and what you get, it's basically the best value and the sturdiest, longest lasting instrument. Like, you could go higher to the J Customs, but you start to get diminishing returns on that. Like, this already plays amazing. This is definitely a professional instrument. It's gonna last you as long as you take care of it. A very long time. It's gonna sound good no matter what you throw at it. It's gonna play amazing. It's gonna flatter your playing. It's not gonna wear out your hands and tendons. You know, that Ebony, that steel, it's pretty smooth. The Mahogany sounds good. The stock pickups, you can replace them for a good sound. You can keep them for a good sound. It's got all the essentials you need with the coil split, the 3-way switch, everything. And of course, it looks unique too. Like, I know these are pretty popular on the internet, but like, you go out in the wild, no one's really gonna have this. Of course, there's like the cheaper prestige guitars too, and those don't have the stainless steel frets. And I'd say for the playing experience, like if you're on the fence, I would definitely go for one of these. If for some reason you dislike stainless steel, which, you know, we all like different things. We like steel, we dislike steel. Maybe it feels too slippery for you, that's fine. You know, these are tools for us to make music with. If you prefer the nickel silver, the standard stuff, then the lower tier prestige would be fine. This, I do notice, does have like a higher bump up in quality from the lower tier prestiges. All right, so would I recommend this guitar over one with an Evertune? Now, I have a bunch of guitars with an Evertune, and it is nice how they do stay in tune, and you could set them up pretty easily and stuff like that. So if I was just recording and I didn't care about like string bend feel or anything like that, like I just mathematically wanted everything to be in tune all the time, then I would pick the Evertune guitars. You know, they're great tools. I do enjoy recording with them. But when it comes to feel and enjoyment and just ease of playability, this is actually what I would pick. Like, if I had to pick one guitar, I would just pick this one. And it comes down to just like feel, playability. You know, with the Evertune, you've got one spring per string really fighting against you. With at least a floating tremolo, you've got like the sum of 3 springs versus the strings, and it's a bit easier. And because I have this blocked, it's even easier than that on the hands. You've just got a fixed bridge you're working with. And so as I'm recording take after take after take, sure, I have to check the tuning every now and then, but it's easier on the hands. You know, combine that with the smooth stainless steel frets and the smooth ebony fingerboard and the fixed bridge. It's just an easier playing experience. And because this is a quality instrument, you know, it's like kind of an upper tier prestige. The materials are resonant and high quality enough to be stable, that you don't have to tune too often. Of course, if there's crazy temperature fluctuations and stuff, you do gotta check it out. And strings, you know, they stretch over time, stuff like that. You do gotta still check the tuning every now and then. But it is a pleasant experience, and it is easy to work with. And because you're not fighting those springs of the Evertune, then you can bend a whole lot more. You know, if you're practicing a guitar solo and that has bends in it and you're doing it over and over again, it adds up. So in conclusion, this is my favorite guitar. I think it's pretty good. I think it looks good. I think it sounds good, and it definitely plays good. So I got the full mix demo coming up. Be sure to check that out. See how this guitar sounds in context. Decide if it's right for you. If you found all this information useful, you know, YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, share, print it out, all that good stuff. If there's something I missed or you have any other questions, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. And as always, peace.